We're going to do beetroot. Beetroot's one of my favourites.
Oh, it's my favourite as well, Andrew.
Yeah,
and
okay.
even raw and grated with onions in it.
Really good,
oh,
isn't
it's
it?
divine,
Yeah, really good.
Grows well, looks beautiful, and it also tastes delicious.
So we've got some seeds here. How many would you suggest for your average size family? How many beetroot really should you sow?
Maybe 20 would be enough to try out, and that'll only take a square metre of your garden.
Yes,
if
you
you
can
think about it.
Yeah, you can plant them very close together. They're good in a small space.
Yeah.
We've got the beetroot seeds here, Clive. The beet family, slightly unusual seed.
Very unusual, isn't it? Each cluster of seedlings has got many seedlings in it. If you sow one seed, you'll get 3 seedlings.
What time of the year do we put it in?
Late April at the earliest, and you can guarantee success. And then you could do a second sowing until late May.
Okay, yeah.
You could sow them directly into the garden as well.
Yes.
Make a little furrow and sow the seeds in there.
Yes, okay.
Or if you plant them in here, sow them when they're young.
Yeah. Okay, Claes, so show us how to sow the seeds.
So we fill our seed tray again, nice and loose first, and then with just a big 2-3 taps to firm it in. Cut the excess compost off, and then make holes in about 2 centimetres deep now, because they're quite big seeds, so they can be sown a little bit deeper, 2 centimetres, fingernails depth. They're big seeds, so they're easily put in 1 seed in each cell. When you're finished, you put fine seed compost, overfill it again, and then scrape it off. And that's it, that's ready. You just water it in gently. Don't overwater. Overwatering is just as bad as underwatering, because the seeds may rot away. And that's it. So each seed you sow in there will make 3, 4, 5 seedlings. Yeah. And that's a problem, because you need to thin them to 1 seedling.
Yeah. So in true TV speak, here's one we made earlier.
Exactly, like a cookery program, isn't it? So see that here, that one was 1 seed, hinge it out here.
Right, Klaus, we're going to put in our beetroots. I know that we can either do them from modules or from seed, but what's the best sort of soil that they're going to like?
Well, any reasonable soil, reasonably fertile soil will do for beetroots. You know, they grow anywhere. They're not really demanding plants.
And then what time of year are we going to, or should we be sowing them?
Well, you can make an early sowing in April. Late April, I think, would be the best, or mid-April even. Yeah. And then another sowing in late May. Sure. And that will produce the beetroot for storage. So the early sowing, you eat away with them throughout the summer. And the later sowing, you can store them
over the winter.
Yeah, and they store extremely well. So we'll plant them now very close, about 7 centimetres apart, and quite firm. Make sure that where the root ball is underneath, that's firmed in. And ignore the top. You know, many people keep pressing and pressing here. No, that's actually bad, because you seal the soil off. Yeah. So keep that loose. Okay, Andrew, we'll sow seeds directly now. So we can either make a furrow with your hands, but in case you don't want to get backache, you can just use a draw hoe for that. And you might think it's quite deep, but I often think people sow too shallow and then they dry out. Then you need to clean your hands, and then we'll sow the seeds one at a time. And the next step is just to close it up like that.
Gently raking it over there.
Yeah, and make sure that, or try not to get big dry lumps falling on top of the seedlings. So it's nice and moist, the soil, which is easy, but sometimes you have dry lumps, and if they fall on the seed, there's no chance.
Can't get through it.
No. Yeah. And then you finish up with tapping it in. 2 weeks, it'll be all up.
Yeah. We have a little bit of housekeeping to do. What are we doing?
Yeah, we have to thin them. So we really need to remove all but one.
So and I pull those out?
Yeah, just leave the best. So if you want really, really big beetroot, you thin them wide apart.
Yeah.
And if you want small ones, you sow them thin apart.
Okay.
Or you pull every second one later on for baby beetroot.
Do we need to feed those?
Well, apart from the initial ground preparation where we added compost to it, about 1 wheelbarrow for every 5 square meters, nothing while the plants are growing.
Okay.
It'll be more detrimental now to put poultry pellets or another high nitrogen feed around it.
Okay.
Remember that was the ones we planted from modules a few months ago. So they're starting to produce their roots now. What I would do now is I'd let them grow more till they nearly touch, and then I would harvest every second one and exactly let the other one grow to a big one. There's one disorder you have to watch, boron deficiency. And you'll notice when the beetroot is looking very scabby and the leaves have lots of spots in it.
And what can we do about that?
Nothing organically, but you can go to a chemist and get borax. You need it like a milligram per garden, you know,
Yeah.
it's minute quantities.
Okay. Now we've got some beet here. We're actually in my garden now. Klaus has munched through all his already. So these ones are actually quite small. It's late in the year now, we're in December now. So these are well overdue and ready to come out. But look, they're still growing fine. Just give it a little bit of a twist just to break the root there. As I said, they're quite small beet, but still very good. So I'm going to cut one up. I'm just going to show you. So now look at that. Look at the colour of that. So I can't resist. I'm going to have a slice of it. Fresh out of the ground. That is really good. Really surprisingly sweet. Raw beet is much better than you think it's going to be. Wow, really good. Really, really easy to grow. I highly recommend.